It's a double edition of a little series we like to call Meet Your Destroyers, where we introduce you to NDP MLAs and government staffers. Let's get familiar with desperate Jessica Littlewood and human rumor mill Notley staffer Jeremy Notley. This fellow here is Jeremy Notley. He works as an issues manager in the Premier's office. I've seen these issues managers at work, and what they do is they stick a recorder in your face if you're doing an interview with an MLA on the legislature rotunda. He's basically a professional eavesdropper. Now, normally, political staff salaries and contracts are posted online. For example, the other issues managers who work in other ministries, their salaries are posted online. Jeremy's is not for some reason, but we can reasonably surmise from what the other issue managers are paid that he makes easily six figures, well over $100,000 per year. Anyway, that's going to look great on his Arby's application in about 2 weeks from now. And of course, according to his LinkedIn, Notley was a former journalist gobbled up into the belly of the beast of government, one of about 24 or so over the last 4 years that have made the lateral move from spinning for government from the outside to spinning for government from the inside for better pay and more generous benefits. And old Jeremy, well, he trades in fake news. Thanks to Jason Markusoff for catching this one. Jeremy retweeted a random rainbow NDP warrior who claimed that former progressive conservative Premier Ed Stelmach was at an NDP fundraiser for the local accidental NDP MLA Jessica Littlewood, out here in my neck of the woods, pushing the idea that Stelmach, whom people out here still consider to be a very nice man, albeit a bad premier, was supporting the NDP for government. But, as Markusoff rightly points out, the picture was taken from a series of Facebook pictures where Jessica Littlewood, as a candidate in the area, attended an event where Stelmach happened to be too. It was no NDP fundraiser, that's for sure, and Stelmach is such an affable and nice man that he posed for a photograph with the NDP MLA. Look at the caption here. Knights of Columbus Spaghetti Dinner Fundraiser for Religious Studies at Lamont School here in St. Michael tonight. Thanks for all the amazing volunteers who make rural Alberta a great place to live. So it's a Catholic education fundraiser, not an NDP fundraiser. How did the issues manager for the Premier's office not know this was fake news? Here's what I think. I think Notley knew it was fake, but he hoped the rest of us didn't, and he was just too happy to pass along the lie as fact as long as he could. But if not for the fake news being pushed by the future angry Arby's mop pusher who works in the Premier's office for now, I would never have noticed my own MLA jangling for votes at a Knights of Columbus event. Normally, I don't talk about Jessica Littlewood because, to be honest with you, I don't want to seem like I'm using my platform here on the Rebel for my own personal gain. She is my MLA, and it would seem, a tad petty and opportunistic to attack her all the time, but she's also pretty useless and invisible, and so there isn't all that much to talk about either. But now, Notley's fake news put her squarely on my radar. After the way the NDP have treated Catholics the past 4 years, imagine the gall of Littlewood to show up and campaign for votes at a Catholic organization's event to raise money for Catholic education. Talk about desperate times, calling for desperate measures. Let me refresh your memories here. The Knights of Columbus, like any true Catholic organization, are obviously pro-life. You can see them marching in their full regalia at the March for Life every single year. Heck, they usually lead the March for Life and help to organize it. And like all pro-lifers, the NDP in Alberta have made drastic and I would argue unconstitutional steps to limit the free speech of peaceful pro-life demonstrators in and around abortion clinics. To be very clear, this is legislation that specifically only targets pro-lifers, like the Knights of Columbus. There is no such similar legislation that would alternatively protect Knights of Columbus organizations from pro-choice demonstrators. It's one-way censorship. Next on the list, when Catholic educators raised concerns about the sex ed curriculum here in Alberta, they were victim to a smear campaign from the NDP government. Education Minister David Agan said, and I quote, "They were taking some exception with teaching consent, and that's just not on," end quote. That was a total lie. Here is what Catholic superintendents actually said, according to Rick Bell at the Calgary Sun. They said, "We support teaching about legal consent," said a sex ed document sent months ago by Catholic school superintendents to the NDP government. Legal consent is important, the document says. Consent is always necessary, it also says. But, adds the document, Catholics believe sexual relationships aren't based only on ongoing consent and pleasure. That's where the document mentions marriage. But Premier Notley was still happy to spread the lie that Catholic educators were taking umbrage with consent being mandatory. She said she would not, and I quote, "enforce or condone a sexual health curriculum that normalizes the absence of consent," end quote. And she told reporters that Catholic educators, again I quote, "take issue with sexual consent by a partner in marriage," end quote. Even when it became abundantly clear that no one disagreed with the concept of consent being absolutely necessary, and Notley's own government had the documents from Catholic educators to prove it, Notley refused to apologize, continuing to insist that Catholic men, like those who make up the membership of the Knights of Columbus, were somehow okay with marital rape. And then when Catholic school administrators expected Catholic teachers to be appropriate Catholic role models for students by living, at least in public, a Catholic lifestyle, they were accused of bigotry by the aforementioned David Agan, who called the expectation, quote-unquote, unsettling. Now, after all of that, and that's just a small fraction of what the NDP have done, now Littlewood shows up to grovel for support from people her government has called discriminatory, misogynistic wife rapers. I hope it wasn't too unsettling for Littlewood at that event for the very Catholic education her government has spent the last 4 years attacking with all those people who don't believe in consent. I suppose it's a testament to the tolerance and forgiving nature of those Knights of Columbus fellows that they didn't run Littlewood right out of that event. They are obviously better Catholics than me. Now, I started off this little video dragging Jeremy Notley, but if not for his fake news, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to rehash the anti-Catholic bigotry of the NDP. So thanks for that, Jeremy. Brush up on your beef and cheddar skills and put on your hairnet, because I'm going to see you in the drive-thru come this May. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. If you want to learn more about Rachel Notley's last 4 years destroying the fabric of Alberta, you can get my new book that details it all at stopnotley.com. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for one of these fun orange lawn signs to help me promote the book. Again, that's at stopnotley.com.